This is not, and let me emphasize this is not the Stetson Bennett I saw last year. What I saw at a Stetson Bennett yesterday was nothing short of impressive, and it was an A+ performance in my opinion. Look, I'm just gonna be honest. Ohio State fans, you're not gonna like this, so you might as well click off right now. Ohio State, they didn't live up to the hype. Just admit it. What a week one, man. At least to me, this is arguably one of the best week ones we've had in a very long time when it comes to matchups and overall good games. There was so much stuff to watch, and there were so many great games going on all throughout the day, and I enjoyed every single second of it. And I bet some of you last night were in the same predicament I was, where I was flipping back and forth between the Ohio State Notre Dame game and the Florida and Utah game. I couldn't decide which game I wanted to watch, and eventually I was like, alright, screw this. I'm just going to turn my phone on so I can watch both of them. I guess I probably need to get like some of y'all, because I can guarantee you there's some people with a man cave that have like 3 or 4 TVs running at one time. But anyways, that's besides the point. If you're new to the channel or you're not familiar with these type of videos, basically on Sunday we recap all the games. Okay, let me go back on that statement. We don't recap all the games, we recap all the games that I feel like was important or some interesting stuff went down. Like for example, I'm not going over the Alabama and Utah State game. Don't care that Alabama's ranked number 1, that's not interesting. I only watched about 15 minutes of that game before I got bored. We're going over all the big matchups, and let's just say this is going to be a very, and I mean a very interesting video, because I got an unpopular take to say about Ohio State. What's a good way to say this? I wasn't really impressed with Ohio State, and honestly, I was pretty underwhelmed. And most of y'all know this, whenever I do make a crazy prediction and it turns out I'm right, I'm going to toot my own horn and we're going to talk about it. However, on the flip side, when I am wrong, and yes, believe it or not, Matt B. Great is wrong sometimes, we got to speak on it as well, and I was wrong about Ohio State and Notre Dame. I was wrong. Now, yes, I did predict Ohio State to win this game, and ultimately they did, but we got to talk about some other stuff. I would say the game of the night, and it wasn't even relatively close, was Utah and Florida, and if you missed this one, please go back and watch it. It's worth it. You missed a barn burner. Maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comment section. But I feel like college football is much better to watch, and it's better for the sport when all the Florida teams are really good. Whenever Florida State, Miami, and Florida, they're good, it makes college football better. I don't know what it is. We've got a lot to get into, a lot to recap. I want to remind y'all too, I haven't said in forever, like a month on this channel. We're on the road to 300K. So if you like college football content and videos like this, consider subscribing and joining the family. It really means a lot to me. Subscribing is completely free. It doesn't hurt you, and guess what? If you decide in a week you hate my videos, you can unsubscribe later, no charge. Also, I want to throw this in there before I forget. If you want to interact with me during the games and see what I'm saying, I tweet during most of the games, so yes, I am back on Twitter since college football is back. If you want to, feel free to follow my Twitter. I'll throw it up on the screen right now, and you know what? I'm going to follow back some people that follow me right now from this video. I like tweeting during the game, say some funny stuff here and there. You can call me an idiot, I can reply to you and call you a bozo, and all that good stuff. Alright, Matt, that's enough of that. Let's get into week 1 of college football. There's so many places we could begin with this, but I want to start with this because I see nobody talking about it. Michigan winning 51-7. Whoa. Hold on. I know what you're sitting there saying, yo, Matt, what's the big deal? Michigan won by 40 points. Why are we talking about this? It has nothing to do with the score, and it has everything to do with Cade McNamara. For those of you that don't know, Cade McNamara, which is the quarterback for Michigan, and JJ McCarthy, which is also the quarterback for Michigan, they're battling out for the starting job. Jim Harbaugh stated that Cade McNamara is going to play the first game, JJ McCarthy is going to play the second game, and whoever plays better will be the starter. You would think, and even I thought this, they're playing Colorado State. Cade McNamara, he should be all right. And well, that was not the case. He played pretty dang bad. I'll show you the numbers right here, and they tell you about everything you need to know. He was 9 for 18, had a $130, 1 touchdown, 0 INTs, and a QBR of 39.7. For those of you that don't know, QBR is based on a scale 1 to 100, 50 being average. So yeah, 39, not too good. As you can see right here, JJ McCarthy did play. He went 4 for 4 and had a perfect QBR, almost a 99.9, but he didn't play that much. He wasn't starting. The biggest concern and red flag I had with McNamara in that game, and I did watch about, I would say, 2.5 quarters of it, is that he was missing wide open receivers. I didn't just say this last week. I said this last year. Cade McNamara, yes, he may be good enough to win those games against Colorado State, Rutgers, and Indiana, but if you do make it to the playoff, no, there's not a shot you're going to win the championship. He's not talented enough. He's a mediocre quarterback and a good quarterback at best, but to win a championship, we all know this, you got to be a great quarterback or an elite quarterback. Speaking of elite, speaking of potentially a great quarterback, you know who that is? JJ McCarthy. I like JJ McCarthy. You know why? Because he's talented, and also believe, correct me if I'm wrong down below, he's a 5-star recruit. He will be starting next week against Hawaii, and that's going to be his quote-unquote tryout for the starting job. job. Unless he plays terrible, I think he's going to win this job, and he should win this job. Moving on to our next topic, I'm not going to speak too much about it. NC State barely escaped East Carolina 21-20, and I feel so bad for East Carolina. Because in reality, they should have won this game. Their kicker, they almost tied up right at the end, and their kicker missed an extra point. They get the ball back, set him up for a game-winning field goal, which was almost a chip shot, and he misses that. NC State, you got away with that one, but let's get on to our next topic. Might as well give my 2 cents on this. Texas A&M didn't impress me too much. Their quarterback had 2 interceptions against Sam Houston State. They won 31-0. I'm never going to complain too much. It's a no-name school. We don't know how good they're going to be just yet, so pump the brakes. Yes, Texas A&M, they didn't play well, and I'm sure Jimbo Fisher would admit that as well, but I never evaluate a team when they play a cupcake game. Oklahoma did Oklahoma things. Miami, they played Bethune-Cookman. You can do what you want with that information. But Arkansas, here was a pretty hyped-up game. You had Arkansas beating Cincinnati 31-24. KJ Jefferson for Arkansas, he's their quarterback. He plays similar to Cam Newton. No, I'm not comparing him or saying he's the next Cam Newton. I'm saying he plays similar to Cam Newton. I thought he was good last year, and it already looks like this year he's taking that next step forward. He was 18 for 26, had 220 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 0 INTs, and a QBR at 81.7. It's hard to ask your quarterback to do much more than that. That was a great win for Arkansas because the SEC alone is hard enough to win games in, and when you're going out of conference and playing a ranked team, you need those. Ladies and gentlemen, though, let's get on to the final 2 main topics of this video, and that is no other than Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Utah, Florida. Wait a minute, hold on. My fault. It's 3 main topics. I forgot to mention Georgia and Oregon. We gotta talk about Stetson DoorDash Bennett first. Good old Kirby, Stetson DoorDash driving Bennett, and Georgia. This Georgia and Oregon game, let me start off with this. I knew Georgia was gonna win, and I also knew they were gonna win convincingly. I knew they had bigger, stronger, and faster athletes, but I didn't think it was going to be 49-3. I thought Oregon with Bo Nix, who is a good quarterback. He has his ups and he has his downs, and we'll talk about that in just a second. I thought they were going to at least put up a fight, at least score 17, 20 points maybe. And you want to know what might be the craziest part about this game, and I truly believe this? I don't know if Oregon necessarily played that bad. Now, yes, they didn't play good, and they didn't play average or up to their standards, but I don't think the storyline is more so of, okay, Oregon sucks. I think it's more so of, okay, Georgia might just be better than what we thought. And y'all know this if you've been watching the videos. I've been saying this, and I've stated this for the past 2 or 3 weeks. I predicted Georgia was going to be better than what most people were giving them credit for. Yes, let's get the obvious out of the way. They lost so many people on defense, but what you're starting to see with Georgia is the same thing we've seen with Nick Saban in Alabama over the past 15 years. They're not going to quote-unquote rebuild. They're just going to bring in other 5-star recruits. What Georgia is currently doing and what they more than likely will continue to do over the next 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, it's just going to reload. There is a major difference between rebuilding and reloading. Georgia and Alabama right now are the only schools that I would say they don't rebuild, they reload. There's not all too much to talk about in the game itself. From start to finish, Georgia dominated. Wasn't even a ball game. Sometimes the score can be deceiving. No, not really. This score tells you everything you need to know. If you didn't watch the game and you only looked at the box score, you would say, oh, it looks like Georgia dominated this game, and that's exactly how it happened on the TV screen. I tweeted this out at halftime, and in reality, it was the remedy for the entire game. Bo Nix was Bo Nix, enough said, and Stetson DoorDash Bennett, he's impressed me. Do I need to say anything more? There's nothing to talk about in Bo Nix's game. We know that's Bo Nix. That's how he plays. He's either going to play out of his mind and make some of the craziest and highlight type of plays you've ever seen, or the other Bo Nix we all know, he's going to make terrible decisions and make terrible plays and some of the worst plays you've ever seen. Unfortunately for Oregon and Oregon fans yesterday, you got the bad Bo Nix. That's what happens though. Let's be real here. Is anyone shocked about this? That's what you get with Mr. Bo Nix. You may get the good, but you also got to remember, and yesterday was a great reminder, you're going to get the bad. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I'm not going to beat Oregon down. That's not the storyline. Like I stated, I don't think Oregon sucks. I didn't think they played all too terrible. The biggest storyline from the game is Georgia is that good. They are really, and I mean really scary. Would I go as far as to saying this Georgia team can be as good as the one last year? I don't know if I'd say all that, but from watching yesterday's game, they might have looked better. And you want to know why they look better? It's for one player, and he's the X factor, and it's the main reason. Stetson DoorDash Bennett. What I saw out of Stetson DoorDash Bennett yesterday was nothing short of impressive, and it was an A+ performance in my opinion. If you've been watching the college football videos, you know I am not a believer in Stetson Bennett, and I ragged on him all last year, rightfully so. Even Even Georgia fans did it. And you even had Georgia fans last year that were pissed off and mad that he announced he's coming back. Look at this. Even his star wide receiver Jermaine Burton wasn't happy about him coming back, and he decided to transfer to Alabama and play for Bryce Young. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure out. Stetson Bennett last year and the year before, he wasn't a good quarterback. All throughout his career at Georgia, there was 2 reasons why his career has been shaky. Number 1, he hasn't been confident, and number 2, he's made terrible interceptions and terrible turnovers. And trust me, yesterday I got plenty of tweets from y'all tagging me saying, "Oh, Matt, you got to give Stetson Bennett your respect, and you got to give Georgia their respect," and I'm going to do that. I don't even care about Georgia. I knew they were going to be good, but what I saw yesterday out of Stetson Bennett, Mr. Stetson Bennett, it was unbelievable. And when I say unbelievable, that word gets thrown around, but I mean it. I did not think he could play like that. I thought he played phenomenal, and if he's playing like that all throughout the season, you better watch out. I'm not too sure if Georgia isn't the best team in the country. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Even better than Alabama. Granted, it is one game. Hold on, let's not overreact, but dang, man, he looked good. Against Oregon, against a team that's ranked 11 in the country, 25 for 31, 370, 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs, a perfect QBR, almost a 97.3. This is not, and let me emphasize this is not the Stetson Bennett I saw last year. I wish I could say I don't know what got into him, but I do. He's got experience, and that matters in college football. Not only does he have experience, but he's no longer looking over his shoulder at JT Daniels. This is his team. You can say what you want. Yes, obviously, you got to be talented to succeed in the SEC or any sport in real life, but at the end of the day, it's 90% confidence and 90% mental. You got to be confident in yourself. If you play any sport, basketball, football, baseball, you know it comes down to confidence and mentality. I don't think Stetson Bennett's arm got bigger and better over the offseason. It's just confidence. It's not only that, but I also get the vibe and feel like that him and Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for Georgia, they get along so great, and they know what he's good at and they know what he's bad at. You're going to see a new Stetson Bennett this season. He is beyond comfortable, and I got to give him his respect. I said this last year, and I want to give you guys a refresher so you understand. I said I didn't fear Stetson Bennett. I wasn't scared to play Stetson Bennett. Who in their right mind would be scared to play him? But I was scared of JT Daniels. However, with that being said, if Bennett, old DoorDash Bennett, if he can play like he did in that first game against Oregon, oh, I would be scared of him throughout this season. This isn't a guy you want to play. He has plenty of experience. He's an 11th year quarterback. He's about 31, 32 years old, and that matters a lot. I've also noticed a ton of maturity in his game because remember, when he lost to Alabama those first 2 times, he was trying to be the superhero and make the awesome touchdown pass, and it turned into interceptions that ultimately cost him the games. But now what you're seeing with Stetson Bennett is a guy who's going to take the check down. He's going to throw that 5-10-yard slant that's going to turn into a 40-yard gain. He looked awesome. My biggest takeaway from that Georgia game is if Stetson Bennett plays like that throughout the year, I don't know if they lose a game. Moving on to our Notre Dame-Ohio State game, I was wrong. Your boy Matt was wrong, and I owe Notre Dame fans an apology. I couldn't have been any more wrong. I said Ohio State was going to blow them out, and Notre Dame's going to do Notre Dame things. They're going to play in this big, hyped-up game, and they're going to lay a goose egg, and everybody's going to make fun of them, like we see for the past 8, 10, 12 years. Look, I'm just going to be honest. Ohio State fans, you're not going to like this, so you might as well click off right now. I wish I could sit up here and say this was a hard-fought, slugfest type of game where you pulled it out 21-10, but it wasn't. I thought Notre Dame played a solid ball game. I didn't think they played great. I didn't think they played out of their minds like Georgia. I thought they played solid. Their offense ain't that great. They don't have too many weapons, and their quarterback wasn't all too hot either. The quarterback was okay, but it's not like he was playing out of his mind. I'll show you the numbers right here. 10 for 18. That's about what, 56, 58%? Buck 70 through the air. Okay. 0 touchdowns. QBR 54.7, which is average. Their quarterback played average, and their offense was mediocre through the night. And here's what happens. You're going to have Ohio State fans go, oh, well, that just goes to prove how much our defense improved from last year. No, it doesn't. What it does prove is that Notre Dame's offense ain't that good. Now, yes, Ohio State, if you held a Georgia to 10 points, if you held a Alabama to 10 points, if you held a USC to 10 points, I would say it's impressive. But Notre Dame? Come on, man. Notre Dame ain't good. They don't have weapons. There's a reason Brian Kelly left, because they don't have talent. They do have some talent coming in, but at this given moment, they don't have the talent to compete with the big boys, and everybody knows this. That's why Brian Kelly left. Now, I'll leave it at this. I thought Notre Dame played solid. I didn't think they played good. I didn't think they played well. I thought they played solid. For Ohio State on the offensive side of the ball, it's kind of tricky because you see, it was only 21-10, but I thought C.J. Stroud, he played a good game. 24 for 34, 220 through the air, 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs, QBR 90. Pretty good. I thought the running backs, Travion Henderson and the Williams dude, they was good as well. That's what concerns me, though. I thought the offense was pretty good, and you only scored 21 points? I don't know if it was on the offensive coordinator, Ryan Day, or whoever was coming up with the scheme for the game, but it almost seemed like they weren't aggressive. Maybe that was just me, I don't know, let me know in the comments, but it was almost like Ohio State didn't try as much on offense. You got CJ Stroud, you got all these weapons, these 5-star recruits at wide receiver, and you're throwing dink and dunks. I'm not saying Ohio State isn't good. Obviously, they're one of the greatest teams in the country right now. They're easily a top 4 team. But I was underwhelmed with their performance. I tweeted out last night, unpopular opinion, Ohio State is overrated, Georgia and Alabama are still the best 2 teams in the country, and it's not close. After week 1, I don't see how you could say I'm wrong in that statement. Don't get me wrong, they didn't play bad, but I was looking for something more, and I think Ohio State fans would even say the same thing. And maybe it's more so the fact we watched Georgia obliterate Oregon 49-3, so we was expecting somewhat a kind of similar scoring game as that one. Like I said, it was a weird situation because Ohio State, they didn't play bad, but it was more of I didn't see all that star power and all that hype I was expecting to see. And I don't want to hear all this crap where everyone's going, oh, well, Notre Dame, they really improved. No, Notre Dame is still Notre Dame. They're one of the most overrated teams in the history of college football. It's more the fact Ohio State, they didn't live up to the hype. Just admit it. Notre Dame's still Notre Dame. Don't even try to give me this BS where they played good. I will say they played solid, but they didn't play good. Moving on to the final game, last but not least, we got Florida and Utah. If you missed this one, you missed a good one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, AR-15, AK, well, he don't even go by that anymore, but Anthony Richardson, must-see TV. Reminds me a lot of Caleb Williams last year when he started peaking for Oklahoma. You got to see him play. 17 for 24, $168 through the air, 0 touchdowns, 0 INTs, QBR 94.8. Not too bad. Also got to throw this in there. He is an extremely lethal weapon on the ground. Had 11 carries for over 100 yards with 3 touchdowns. If yesterday didn't prove and go to show you the fact that the SEC is 10 times better than everybody else, I don't know what will. The SEC curb stomped an 11th ranked team out of the Pac-12, 49-3, and they also beat the best team in the Pac-12, Utah, with a middle-of-the-pack mediocre Florida team in the SEC. I don't care that Florida won this game. They are still a middle-of-the-pack SEC team. And that's not even being disrespectful to Florida. Some people take that as disrespect, but to me, it's not. It's just showing you how deep the SEC is. Off the top of my head, I can think of 5 teams that are better than Florida right now. Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Who else am I missing? Arkansas. You can continue to go on, but that's what I'm saying. Even if you think Florida is better than Ole Miss or Tennessee, they're still in the middle of the pack. They're not up there with the top of them. That's what I'm saying, though. The Pac-12, their 2 best teams got curb stomped by the SEC. I do want to pump my brakes with Anthony Richardson because he does have some red flags and concern, but the talent is clear to see. This man is talented. Kind of a similar situation to Georgia. I think Georgia and Florida will only be as good as Stetson Bennett and Anthony Richardson will make them. There's so much more I can say, but this video has already been way too long. I am curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. And also, we got a big game tonight with LSU and Florida State. Let me know who you think's going to win that one. I'm excited, and overall, I am just happy that college football is back. But with all that being said, road to 1 million!